I'm now going to read a parable of Jesus's from St. Luke's Gospel. As with many, he does not give an explanation of them, but allows them to sink into us so that we will unwrap them in our perhaps unconscious minds to some extent. But an explanation of this parable is given by Jesus, or a meditation on it, to Maria Valtorta in her quaderni, her notebooks. But first the parable. It occurs after Zacchaeus has been converted to the faith and promises to give loads of money back to those he's robbed in his tax collecting days. It's in chapter 19 of St. Luke's Gospel, and it commences at verse 11. As they heard these things, he proceeded to tell a parable, because he was near to Jerusalem, and because they supposed that the kingdom of God was to appear immediately. He said, therefore, a nobleman went into a far country to receive kingly power, and then return. Calling 10 of his servants, he gave them £10, and said to them, trade with these till I come. But his citizens hated him, and sent an embassy after him, saying, we do not want this man to reign over us. When he returned, having received the kingly power, he commanded these servants, to whom he had given the money, to be called to him, that he might know what they'd gained by trading. The first came before him, saying, Lord, your pound has made £10 more. And he said to him, well done, good servant. Because you have been faithful in a very little, you shall have authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Lord, your pound has made £5. And he said to him, and you are to be over 5 cities. Then another came, saying, Lord, here is your pound, which I kept laid away in a napkin. For I was afraid of you, because you are a severe man. You take up what you did not lay down, and reap what you did not sow. He said to him, I will condemn you out of your own mouth, you wicked servant. You knew that I was a severe man, taking up what I did not lay down, and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money into the bank, and at my coming I should have collected it with interest? And he said to those who stood by, take the pound from him, and give it to him who has the £10. And they said to him, Lord, he has £10. I tell you that to everyone who has will more be given. But from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. But as for these enemies of mine, who did not want me to reign over them, bring them here and slay them before me. And there ends the parable at verse 27 of chapter 19 of Luke's Gospel. I think before going on to Jesus' interpretation or commentary on this parable, we can see that in fact it's another warning to the Jews. They're the ones who are subjects of the king who goes away and is going to return. And at the end, because they hate him, as it says in the parable, they are to be slain. This is separate from those to whom Jesus gives particular, or the king gives particular amounts of money to invest or to develop in some way. So those who think that, well, we can be Christian Zionists because God blesses Israel. Well, this parable says something different. Israel was blessed so long as it did what it's supposed to do. That is to be honouring God and therefore God's son. The curses fall upon it if it fails to do that. It failed to do that 2,000 years ago, and so the curses fell upon it. And there's nothing that's happened yet amongst this people that would suggest the curse has been lifted, or there should be any reason to lift the curse. In fact, the trouble for Christendom has just multiplied over the centuries because of this people, in part at least. So I just thought I'd mention that before we go into what really is the subject of today's dictation. Jesus' comments in relation to this parable.